A lot of men out there talking about conspiracy theories, how to unlock this and that spiritual power and abilities, how to manifest the life that you want, how to make money, how to attract all sorts of abundance. But very few men talk about how to undo the programming that men were injected regarding sex and power and their relationship with the feminine energy and women by extension. Very few men talking about that and doing the inner work, the shadow work to undo this conditioning, undo this programming so that we can come together as one. And this is problematic because I understand conspiracy theories and everything. It's super interesting, fascinating to see how deep and how much we've been lied to and programmed to believe so many things, and with everything that's been happening with Diddy, with Epstein, with the elites and all these things. Even I find myself getting deep into the rabbit hole sometimes, let alone when it comes to mythology and the Egyptians and all this super interesting information. Men will do the deepest research and break down everything that happened in ancient Egypt. I'll tell you fascinating stories about this ancient civilization. But all of this to me is just a distraction. It's super interesting, but it's not going to get us anywhere really. If tomorrow we want to go create something better, something healthy altogether, what we gotta do is go inside. And I find that men struggle with that. And when it comes to undoing wrong programming, men have a lot to do. Men were injecting the wrong beliefs about sex and power. They were programmed to believe wrong information about sex and power. Sex and power are the gods of men. And paradoxically, for the past thousands of years, we've been living in complete chaos. And as a matter of fact, men show the highest suicide rate. Is all of that a coincidence? I don't think so. I think men are dissociated from their true nature, and there is something inside of them that is profoundly suffering from this and is desperately trying to break free from that prison. If this was the right way to be, then the world wouldn't be such a chaotic place and men would actually be happy like this, and they're not. One of the biggest lies this world has told men and everyone is that men were born with a natural addiction to sex. Did you just see that? Did you just see that? I love recording in nature. It's crazy the amount of signs you keep receiving. This is obvious bullshit, but I still want to go over this real quick. I can't believe the majority of people on this planet still believe that, still actively believe that men have a natural addiction to sex. That's just who they are. That's just what is. So I understand science, okay? I understand testosterone hormone is real and that we tend to get a little more aggressive, a little more, the aspect of the masculine tend to come out more. But there is a difference between having a high libido, which is okay, it's like liking food a lot, okay? There is a difference between this and consuming sex the way men are encouraged to. That is a sickness. When I see men in society and the way they behave with sex, it reminds me of a crackhead. Okay, it reminds me of people who are addicted to drugs. So having a high libido is one thing. Nothing in this world should be consumed like that without creating some kind of damage. It is unhealthy, and I can believe like the amount of men would argue with me on this, especially men who claim to be spiritual. Now they have been conditioned to think like this and to behave a certain way for so long. Now they are attached to being a certain way, to behaving a certain way, and it's difficult to detach from that. That, okay, I receive, but this is not their original selves, and this is not their true nature. No one is addicted to anything at all. If you transpose sex with food, do this little exercise. Anyone consuming anything at that rate is flirting with death on a spiritual level and on a physical level. If someone would consume food the same way men are encouraged to consume sex, this person would be in a state of morbid obesity with all sorts of disease and honestly on the verge of death. And what do we observe in society? Well, the highest rates of depression, men. The highest rate of suicide, men. I think there is a correlation here. I think. And it's crazy the communication around this and how they are pushed to believe that this is natural for them to behave like this, to behave like crackheads. From the earliest age, you're a boy, totally okay, go, love sex. It's okay to be aggressive and to behave like an animal, like literally little Mowgli who've never been educated, basically. Run around everywhere and don't really pay attention to what you consume, who you give access to your energy. You don't care about these things. Just go. Society pushes men to consume sex. It's undeniable. No one can deny this, and it's just crazy how pushed they are to consume sex, okay? And to think that it's totally normal to consume it at that rate. If it was that normal, well, you wouldn't feel death after sex. You wouldn't feel like you're dead inside. You will have articles telling you, oh, it's normal if after sex you tend to feel a bit depressed, a bit down, a bit dead inside. No, it's not normal. You're not supposed to feel that way. Do you know who else feels death right after sex? Victim of SA abuse. It is a post-traumatic disorder. Do you understand what it means? It means that men are sexually abusing themselves and their body is traumatized and is telling them, I'm traumatized and I don't want to do this. This is so profound and spiritually critical that they are pushed to inflict to themselves spiritually, on a spiritual level, on a physical level, and on a sexual level, and on an emotional level. This is abuse. I have been in situations with men where I could tell they were not into me, and yet they were like robotically flirting with me, doing this typical women will relate, trying to get something from me, usually sex, okay? And I could see in their eyes, so many times I could see in their eyes, they were not even interested in me. They didn't even find me attractive. And I could tell, because you can tell this thing. And I was like, wow, I don't even know if you realize that you're not even into me. Your body is stuck into behaving like this, like a robot. And I swear, I've been in situations where I could see in their eyes this light telling me, please help me. This is why I'm here today, you know. I don't care about people, you know, overreacting to my videos and how I speak about these topics, and people who would call me angry or anything. This is everything but anger. This is coming from a place of love. This needs to be said, this needs to be exposed and dealt with, because this is a war on men, this is a war on men's consciousness and on men's health. This is an attempt of spiritual murder. Their original self is trapped, kind of like get out situation, you know, and they're stuck into behaving a certain way, like stuck in a shield, and forced to just move like this and do things they don't really want to do, things that aren't aligned with them on a soul level. Kind of everybody is in that situation, I know, but honestly, it's so much worse for men when I see how they abuse themselves on a daily basis and don't realize it. And you have also the case of erectile dysfunction. This is also very common, and many men won't speak on this because of the shame. But what does it mean? You know, they will tell you, oh, it's an imbalance of this and that. You have a lack of this and that in your body. Or I have experienced that. I have been in a situation where the guy experienced erectile dysfunction, okay? And it happens. But it happens way more than we think. What do you think it means? It simply means that your body doesn't want you. Your body is telling you, I don't want to have sex. I don't want you. That's all. That your body telling you, leave me the fuck alone. It's crazy to me how normal this has become, because to me this is one of the biggest scam and the biggest lie, at the same time the biggest emergency that is on earth. It's like literally what happened to men, what they were turned into. But my second point will elaborate on that. Men were also pushed and conditioned to degrade themselves, again spiritually, physically, but sexually really, with these phrases like, we're just pigs, we're just dogs, we will have sex with anything that moves, that's just who we are. We don't need feelings. We don't care about these things. That's just what we are. And it's so funny because no, it's not true. They actually need way more than they think. They were just conditioned to think they don't need any of these things, and they are robotically repeating these phrases without realizing it doesn't make any sense, and it's just robotic. It's just a programming. It's just a script that they keep repeating like a robot. Reminds me of Westworld so much. Hello? They're not aware of that they are abusing themselves and their body hates them for it. The irony of seeing so many men being, you know, like workout coach and all these things related to physical health, and I'm like, oh, you care about your health. You do, okay. But paradoxically have to like the poorest sexual hygiene you'll ever see. I'm like, you are a clown. You make no sense. It's that being conditioned to degrade themselves, to have no consideration for themselves, to have a very low self-esteem, low self-respect, and so to have a sexual hygiene that is extremely poor. And really what they have inflicted to themselves sexually is, again, transpose that to food and you understand. This is horrifying. I repeat, having a high libido is one thing. Enjoying having fun is one thing. Consuming like that is a sickness. I'm sick in my stomach just thinking about it. Again, I repeat, if that was the right way to go, then you guys wouldn't be that many to be suicidal, to be that depressed, to be that empty. It's about addressing the bullshit and stop lying to yourself, you know? When it comes to power now, men have been not only desensitized, but they've been separated from their feminine, and so women by extension. They've been separated from us through desensitization. As I said before, all things porn and constant representation of women in a very, very sexualized way in movies, and, you know, all things strip clubs and all these things, constantly perceiving us as something to be consumed, something that isn't a person, that is not a human being, but a product. When it comes to power, it represents an accessory. And it's true that when you think of, you know, all things videos about how to be successful for men, it always revolves around the same type of imagery. You have the guy with sunglasses, dollar bills falling from the sky, and a car, and women around him. Women are literally like a car or a bag or glasses. It's just an accessory. It's not a person, it's a purse. Let me write this down. So they've been conditioned to use us as a way to affirm their value as people. We are literally being used as an external sign of success and made to believe this is flattering, while this is the most degrading thing possible, actually. As long as they will perceive us like this, as inhuman being, inanimated object, with an always prettier version, just like the iPhone that you have to get, that you have to show your friends, that you have to acquire, even when it's not about the physical appearance only, even when it comes to a woman being interesting, very smart, very successful. You're gonna have men wanting to be in a relationship with her just to say, look, I managed to have someone like this. There's a lot of this. If I manage to have someone like this, that means I'm someone. Now, do I actually love that person? That's another story. Do I actually care about that person? That's another story. This is something that is deep and that is profoundly affecting relationship between us, especially in the dating world. Men struggle to detach from that perception of us being something that can upgrade their value, the way they are perceived amongst their peers. This is a deep one. Perceiving us as beings only there to shine next to them, to be a shiny object, a gold medal that they earn, and that is disposable, that can go outdated and be replaced with a new one that is more shiny. Separation. To the majority of men, we can't deny this is how power is perceived in this world. Power is associated with domination, okay, especially for the masculine. In the subconscious collective of most men, being powerful means dominating. That's what it means. It means people submitting to you, but in a tyrannic way. Being feared. Being feared equals being respected. I can't count the amount of TV shows representing that model, games for kids representing that model. That's what power is in their eyes, and that's a huge problem, because true power is actually vulnerability. True power is the ability to be vulnerable. That's the most powerful thing you can ever be in the world, is vulnerable. And vulnerability is feminine. Feminine being the weakest thing, the weakest energy, and what you never want to be in this world, right? The domination is not power. Being inspiring is more powerful. That's what led people to want to follow you. In conclusion, one of the deepest beliefs that were injected in men's subconscious and in the masculine subconscious collective is related to sex and power. And this is where most men should sit down with and seriously come together, try to heal together and understand the root of this. When did it start? Why did this happen to us? Let's come back to our original self. Let's come back to our soul by undoing the dark masculine, by healing from the dark masculine, by coming back in union with our feminine inside, with our sacred feminine inside. And I know there are a few men doing that. I've seen it. That's why I feel confident sharing on this, because we definitely need more. I know there are men out there trying to heal other men the right way, but the majority is still obsessed with all things learning about all sorts of very interesting spiritual information about ancient civilization, about cosmic powers, and dive in the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. But understanding these things won't heal you. This is not how you heal. Women will do the work. Women will go so deep, understand themselves, to fix themselves, and to come back from their ashes, understanding the root of what was wrong, and heal from this chaos inside. Birth creates a new reality that will be benefiting everybody. But men are still stuck into looking externally for answers, externally for a spiritual salvation, talking about the aliens, conspiracy theory, astral projection. Even when they talk about healing, is still revolving around power and money. And I'm like, will you ever get it? Or the medicine is inside of you. You have to go inside. Not about men in general, the collective men. What about the belief that you were injected? How about you work on that? You work on undoing that. This would actually help the world. If tomorrow we want to co-create a new world, this needs to be treated because the problem will still be there. It won't go away. The problems of this world isn't only external. It's not only the elite, the bad people out there. It's actually your own behavior. It's actually your own shadows creating the problems. And men really struggle understanding that. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.